Come out. Papa Legba. Yeshua. Ilegua. Come out. Papa Legba. Yeshua. Ilegua. Come out. 'Cause this is our land. Yes, we was here first. They came here on a boat. They'll leave here in a hearse. They'll leave here through the dirts. They're going through the earth. We're channeling their ancestors to undo their hurt. 'Cause once upon a time, we all could read and write. That legalese is lies. Strong men spelled cursive ties. Strong men all caps disguise. They've gentrified our lives. We've redefined their sights. We've redefined their kind. Yes, this is juju music. This shit here is voodoo music. This shit here is voodoo music. When you chant, they gonna lose it. Yes, this is juju music. This shit here is voodoo music. Yes, this shit is voodoo music. When you chant, they gonna lose it. When you chant, they gonna lose. Which ancestor you gon' choose? Play their game, but by our rules. I'm Queen Annie the Maroon. I am Queen of Dongo. I am Queen of Zinga. I am Yenaga. I'm Carlotta and Fermina. 'Cause this is juju music. This shit here is voodoo music. When you chant, they gonna lose. Which ancestor you gon' choose? 'Cause this is juju music. This shit here is voodoo music. When you chant, they gonna lose. Which ancestor you gon' choose? 'Cause I am a goddess. I am a priestess. I chant these mantras and they all repeat it. If we make a promise, this land we gon' seize it. Get vengeance for Mother Earth treason. This ain't the gentrifier. This for the gentrifiers. This for the gentrifiers. This for the gentrifiers. Repetition of empires. Invading land with gunfire. Slavery not hostess for hire. Income not what you desire. Outcome working jobs by hours. Mindset waiting to retire. Never stop working for dollars. 'Cause this is juju music. This shit here is voodoo music. Which ancestor you gon' choose? When you chant, they gonna lose. 'Cause this is juju music. This shit here is voodoo music. Which ancestor we gon' choose? When we chant, they gonna lose. My spirit guides come in with that sin. My ancestors defend. I got that juice to transcend. My spirit guides come in with that sin. My ancestors, I got that juice to transcend. 'Cause I am a Santi, I am a Sata, I am a host, I am a homie, I am a Tamba. Yes, I am a Tamba. 'Cause I am a Santi, I am a Sata, I am a host, I am a homie, I am a Tamba. Yes, I am a Tamba. Yes, this is juju music. This shit here is hoodoo music. When we chant, they gonna lose. Which ancestor we gon' choose? Hey, choose. 'Cause when we chant, they gonna lose. Which ancestor we gon' choose?
Mess with the wrong witch, and she knows it. And now you know it.
Hey, gang, gang.
Greetings.
How y'all feeling?
I'm tired.
Me too. I've been fighting my sleep all day long. You know, I had a podcast earlier I had to do. Then I got these notes for people's natal charts. And, yeah. Sleepy time. I can't wait to get to it. Before we get there, though, let's talk about this round and flat earth.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Let's talk about it. So, hold on. You already know I come through with the presentations. I've been locking it down on the hold up.
Oh, I got this wristband on, looking like I'm at the club or whatever, but I went to a basketball game earlier.
I was about to say, is that I was at a flat earth convention wristband?
I wish it was.
It'd be some dope people at them joints, though. I ain't gonna hold you. Like, I seen some wrestlers. AJ Styles was there. I was like, oh, snaps. If he believes in the flat earth, I have to.
I've never had the privilege of going to one, but I do intend to in the future. You know what I'm saying? I think they're just as cool as the anime conventions. I think it's big like that.
Oh yeah, I would
The
definitely
cosplays.
love to be present in one of them Jones.
I think the same people attend those.
Probably, because I definitely would go to both, and I can't see anybody not wanting to attend both.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Not at all. So we did some digging, y'all, on the flat Earth versus round Earth. The fact that we were even doing this type topic ignited a few different conversations in different spaces. Excuse me. I don't really have a definitive, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like what I'm presenting is facts, because I honestly don't know. And it seems like a lot of the spaces where we retrieved our information from
We're dusty.
were dusty. Yeah, it was dusty. They pulled out the big guns. I love Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I love what's his name? Bill Nye the Science Guy. And I felt personally attacked because my childhood favorites is out here calling me dumb and stuff on screens, because there's a possibility I might be cool with the flat earth thing. And y'all ain't gotta do all that. Y'all didn't, I realized what I noticed, a common pattern amongst the people who were saying, oh, the earth was round. They were very triggered. They were very emotional in their debunking. A lot of name calling going on.
Yeah, like they act like children. They were very immature.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, if you
You're not
want me
willing
to
to
absorb
listen.
the information, you're gonna have to communicate it differently. I'm not really feeling the vibes here at all. It's not really making me want to adopt this mindset that the earth is round.
It's like the flat earthers had to go above and beyond and do some more shit just to prove their theory. You know what I'm saying? When everybody was accepting of the whole earth being a sphere, earth being, a globus, and and we just never happen to fall off the water. Everybody's upside down, you know what I'm saying, below us or whatever, down here in this area. We're just accepting of that. But what is containing all the water? What is like how does it work with the sun, like in rotation, and the earth's rotation, the gravity fields of the moon and the sun and earth's own shifting and stuff like that? Like how would it stay perfectly round?
That part. I don't think that is I mean, they're probably still teaching it to little kids, unfortunately, that the planets are round.
All of them round. The moon is round.
Why you would even allow that to be a foundation in public school education, but whatever.
Yeah, you gotta know your shapes. You gotta know your shapes. And they never taught me as like growing up learning my shape. They never said like the earth is a circle, sphere, round. We learned that like once we got into science class, once we started, studying like, scientific
they make
theories
it
and stuff like that.
But what do you know on this plane that's a perfect circle? Like I don't like rocks aren't perfect circle. We're not perfect circles. Even animal cells. I think animal cells are like the most rounded thing you could come across here, and that's not even a circle. Eggs, they don't even call those circles. They're ovals. Like what's a fucking circle here?
I want to say like some grapes or muscadines or whatever. Muscadines.
Oh, like the globe grapes? Maybe. Yeah. I think Earth is like a blueberry. I feel like Earth probably got the blueberry thing going on.
Probably got the raspberry thing going on too. Shit, who knows? Hell. But yeah, blueberries they're squishier and like that. Like what we call that? The
ellipsoid.
Yeah, ellipsoid. There you go. Now I like that.
The only thing that's missing off of this one is the ice wall.
I was gonna say raspberry filling is missing off of there. That's all.
Hilarious. In the black hole. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely say like the ice wall that's supposed to be surrounding everything that we see is common amongst all the maps. And then you remember last season when we got into last season, we were talking about like the comets and how the comets, well, the majority of the planets they talk about when they go to try to visit these planets, whatever,
Mhm.
whatever. There's an ice wall there that they can't break through, and then it's like, oh, there's no life here because there's an ice wall, whatever, whatever have you. But you know, I would think that we would be somewhat of a parallel to that kind of energy. Like we're like encapped by, ice.
Yeah, maybe that's the other planet's protective domes as well, because it has to be able to keep some foreign
True.
objects from entering into the planet, or else that planet would just be destroyed. Just
Mm-hmm.
period. Anytime a comet, meteorite lands there, I mean, gosh, how often do we have meteor showers?
Very often, more so in the winter time than any other time. And then
Mhm.
again in the springtime we get heavy meteor showers. But definitely in the wintertime is the time when the earth is all cold and shit.
I mean, they definitely can do some damage or whatever. I mean, just think of the last known, meteor that destroyed what, 2/3 of the Earth?
Mm.
Was it 2/3 of the Earth?
I mean, who could tell you that it was really 2/3 of the earth? Just like who could really tell you that the Great Flood killed all of
Exactly.
humanity,
That's
or
what I'm leading to.
like who can really tell you these things?
Right. Maybe it was the Earth in that area. You know what I'm saying? What those people know of. Like they just thought
Yeah,
like
like
all
it's
life
Earth
ceased
as
to
we know
exist.
it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
because if something destroyed all life form, 2/3 of it like that, like yeah, it 2/3 of the earth being destroyed. That would mean like mostly all land, maybe, and the rest of sea. Only sea creatures would survive. Some of them, I don't know. Upon
Then
the
we
impact,
definitely wouldn't be around.
yeah,
We
we
most
definitely wouldn't be
definitely
around.
would not be around.
Mm.
If meteor came and knocked off a bunch of pieces off,
They said
you
the
know.
roaches would have survived though, so maybe we
Oh yeah,
evolved from
I
roaches.
definitely remember them talking about how resilient roaches were. Kudos. But they can survive all that but can't survive raid. Okay.
Yeah, I done killed many of roaches with raid before. Okay, I ain't gonna hold you.
So what's in the raid?
But you ain't killing no regular spider with that sucker though. You gotta get the
No.
spider raid. So that means that goes to show you that spiders are more resilient than roaches are. Mm. But
Mm.
anywho, mm.
So these
but
were the different like theories that we got as far as like the different shapes of the earth and traveling upon those surfaces. We had a guest that was in backstage. Hopefully he comes back so we can bring him on, but he wanted to, add to things. He said in the chat, the only true circle is the field around us individually.
there you
And
go.
as for God, but is it really a whole circle? Is that also a true circle, or is that the shape of our silhouette?
Mm. That's interesting how we are attracted to circular objects so much, or how we want to believe a lot of things are circular, even if they admit from us they are circular. But who can
Right.
say that? Because because when I think about like your aura and stuff like that, I think of like waves of shit. You know what I'm saying? And waves are never just circular. They're kind of, I don't know. They expand out and it's constantly like rippling. It's like a rippling effect. I guess. Well, I guess it's
Yeah.
where to get the circle from, like a ripple effect, like when you touch like some water, and it ripples out. I guess it's where they get the circular motion from.
Makes sense.
But that's vibration though as well too. Mm.
Yeah, I hope he comes back too.
But that's interesting, Steve. We appreciate that. Hmm.
Um, I like the So you got the first figure where they got like the person walking on the square. That was the signs that they would walk all the way to the edge of the earth and fall off. Um, Not a fan of that model. And then this one is the one that everybody keep using to debunk the flat earthers, the one with the little disc that he's walking on, but it still seems like he could fall off. So that's the model that I see a lot of round earthers use when they want to debunk flat earthers and say, oh, well, this map makes no sense, dot, 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 dot. But that's because, you know, quote unquote flat earthers aren't have not been provided with the same freedoms and resources to like put satellites in the sky and take pictures of these celestial bodies and all these different things. You know, a lot of the photographs from NASA are
Pretty, they look pretty studio shot,
yeah,
if you ask
they
me.
were produced and not the way that they're telling us they were produced. So,
Okay.
you know, a lot of those shapes and stuff in those photographs, they're not valid. They're not real.
Number two,
So,
illustration number two, I can agree with though, but just the fact that it just put them on top of the earth like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, you got to think about it. You're within the earth, okay? So, all right. To me, it's like a curvature alongside when you get up to the crust or the round the outer edge of the earth, okay? So
mhm.
that can explain like how it contains some of the water and the land is like up on a surface, you know what I'm saying? The land isn't caved in like that versus looking at it from a certain distance or whatever. But
Yeah,
you know,
like you guys are taking flat a little too literally.
yeah.
Just a little bit. Like, come on, bro. I could stand outside and be like looking up to mountains and looking down at valleys. Like, bro, you know it's not flat. Y'all just trying to be funny.
This is just as simplified as right there the last as excerpt number 6. I mean, like, come on.
Man, we got AI lenses now. Y'all can give me something better than this.
Yeah, for real.
We
For
deserve
real.
better. The way y'all got the stuff set up on Minecraft, I don't want to hear nothing.
Yo.
We deserve better models than this. Y'all just trying to be funny out there. But that is the one that they use. See, I like the dome John
Yeah, the
with
Dome John is
the
cool.
atmosphere. That's fly. That's fire. Okay, we got our guest back in the backstage, so we gonna bring him forward.
We're gonna welcome Steve.
Please.
Greetings, Steve.
Peace.
Hello,
How y'all doing
hello.
today?
You a little choppy over there.
How y'all doing today?
We doing good. How you feeling?
A little under the weather, but you know, can't complain.
Respect. So we was trying to get into the different shapes of the earth. And I remember you commenting wanting to, you know, give some insight on the shape of the earth and the science behind it. So I mean, off of let's go back. Off of these images right here, you know, do any of these agree with what you already have set in your mind, the shape of the earth?
But first, let me start off by saying I do not agree with the debate of there being a round versus a flat earth. That's number one. The reason I don't agree to that debate is because first and foremost, as I was just saying earlier, there's no perfect circle in existence that we can see. As far as
Wait,
man,
we can't hear
can see
you. We can't hear you at all. I really want to hear what you're saying, but I can't understand what you're saying at all.
Try my best to make out what he's saying, but it's just like oop, doop, 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 doop.
Yeah.
about that.
Uh-uh.
What about
Is
now?
it better now?
No.
No,
Let me try something else.
only because I can identify when you ask, is it better now? And how about now? That's how we
Right.
understood you.
I'm very familiar with those sounds. Okay, we'll give him a minute. Um, but oh yeah, okay. So you remember we had the one episode when we went back to the firmament. Haha. Let's go back to the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
So this was the firmament and how it was built in the sky and the light and it was good and all that stuff and the separation between the above and below. And hold on one second. Hold on a second. Oh, I gotta stop. I gotta pay attention to my surroundings. Well, yeah, this is how, the earth was shaped in regards to like how it was told in the Bible and stuff like that. And honestly, I thought this was cool because this is how they like set up a lot of the villages and stuff, like the ancient indigenous villages and stuff were kind of set up with this kind of domey like setup. And then not even just like native, indigenous Native Americans, but also like the Celtics and the Nordics and stuff. They also had the same kind of domey type setup in their villages as well. So I thought those were pretty cool parallels.
I like how that is set up. The firmament of the sky, and you got the stars and the sun. That's my theory right there. Okay. The sun and the moon and the stars are within the earth. Some of them. Mm-hmm. I like this.
Yeah, I like this too. This matches. Hey, thank you.
They didn't have the blue wild berry. It's just the regular game.
That's fine. It's okay.
Gosh
Peace.
darn, the blue and wild berry is the best of anything.
It's like, bro, I like leaves, and for some reason, everybody just keep buying me the regular joints. Like, I don't understand what this fascination is with regular games. Don't nobody want to smoke that shit.
Oh yeah, the
Just
red.
be wasting my money on cigarillos. I don't want to smoke that shit.
They have grabba leaf.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so while we wait for both of them to come back in, anybody in the comments, do you have your opinion, or which side do you lean towards, flat earth or round earth side? I lean more towards the flat earth side, but how, like I said, how everyone else, how scientists who are round earther believers think of flat earth is not necessarily just flat like a sheet of paper, you know what I'm saying, and square. The earth has many different, planes and plateaus and different shapes to it on the surface of the earth. But we're speaking more so about, and I hope I have my microphone on. Okay. I was like, that's so embarrassing. I had my microphone.
No, I can hear you.
Okay. But more so like, what does it look like when you're up in the sky and above? The earth is flat. Everything is one level. Okay. Once you reach up so high. Now, speaking of coming outside of the earth or whatever, which I don't believe anyone has done. Okay. Call it what you want it. Because you cannot break through the earth's atmosphere like that or its protective dome like that. Things can penetrate it and get in, but look at the force and the speed and the power behind it when it gets here. All right. And then look at the shape as well. They're not even perfectly round. Back to you.
All right, so you got 5 senses, right?
Mm-hmm.
So some may say you got 7. You got, the two that's hidden or whatever. But with those 5 senses, you can look up in the sky. When it rains, you can feel the rain. You see where it's coming from. Some people open their mouth and they taste that rain, right? You can also hear the noise of it beating against something, right? So then in some cases, you feel the rain running against your skin or whatever. With those 5 senses that you use,
None of them is going to tell you that anything is going the opposite way outside of that. When they say the water condenses, what is it hitting that's stopping it from continuing to condense? Why is it stopping now and falling back on us when there's supposed to be so much space outside of the Earth? That's one.
Mm.
Another one is the sun. The sun is the dead giveaway. They teach us that the sun is 93 million miles away. Now, all you got to do is judge a mile. That's supposed to be how many blocks? 12 blocks? 5,280 feet?
Give or take. What city you in?
Yeah,
Atlanta
depending
block
on
might
where
be a
you
little different. New York block might be,
at. Exactly. But, you know, when they say
Mhm.
block, they're basically basing it off of a square mile.
Mm-hmm.
So when they say that the sun is 93 million miles away, explain how whenever the sun is displayed outside of the so-called Earth's atmosphere, everything that's close to the Earth isn't lit up. And when I say lit up, I mean it's complete darkness until you hit the moon. Then there's complete darkness until you hit another sun, or until you hit another star, you hit another asteroid that's flying by. Why is it that there can't be a visual display of what we're taught? But what we see with our own senses and feel with our own senses don't add up to what's being taught.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where my debate comes in. It's not a fact of it being flat or round. It's a fact of me using my five senses and just explaining what I see, because that's what our ancestors did.
Yeah.
And they kept records of what they saw and what they tasted and what they felt. And then you have people now who want to misinterpret what they see, feel, and taste, which is plain and simple right there. Come on, I don't like I said, I'd rather not debate flat or round or pick a side. I'd rather just take what we have and make sense of it. You know, but
Absolutely.
if I were to take a side in this debate based on the information given, it couldn't be a round Earth because of the different terrains, as she was saying earlier. You may have a desert plain that's flat in some areas, and then it could be rocky in others. And then you have the rainforest where you have trees. You don't know what type of terrain it is.
Mm-hmm.
It all. What we're looking at is from our viewpoint. We're on this surface looking up, when actually we're on this surface looking around. If you think the sky is up, then that's where you're misinterpreting your own senses.
I was going to say the Earth has so many dimensions other than just 3D. What they tried to give us, you know.
Yeah, the up, down, left,
it's
right.
infinite dimensions. Yeah, it's probably an infinite amount of dimensions that our mind can't really fathom at this point. You know what I'm saying? Just thinking of what the images they show us, or even what our senses are trying to make sense of, what we're trying to collect to make it make sense. So yeah. I just look at a lot of things that's all around us, and then I think about like once I've gotten up into an airplane before, it's only gonna go up but so high. You can't even see the whole Earth from an airplane being up 30-some thousand feet in the air or whatever. Okay, so you can see a lot, but you're not gonna see the whole Earth like that. Then once you get out into space, if you get out into space, if you get up in the airplane, you can't see nothing around you, all those clouds covering everything or what have you, and they can only go up so high. Then how is a rocket ship able to decipher how large the Earth is, and you seeing this whole globe at this point of view, and you are a dust nugget, like sis was saying. The Earth is so big, you're not even able to see it, even if you reach outside of its even if you reach outside of it, you're not able to see that.
Yeah. So like you're not convincing me. And then the Earth is always changing. Like if the axis that the Earth is always changing on, that means that its magnetic points is always changing. If that's changing, if the Earth is if the moon is what they say it is, then that means the pull that the moon does on the tides. The Earth is mostly water, so that means that water makes up the majority of the shape of the Earth. And
And
what
we
it
know what
just
water
fills,
does, right?
it fills the container that it's
After
within. So there's
it fills the
something that's
container that is
holding
within,
water. Like, so
and it
if the
also
moon
holds
is doing
anything
what it's
that's able
doing,
to alter. Mm-hmm.
exactly, it's
It changes the
not
shape of anything too. Yeah.
it's not giving round or flat vibes. It's like
not
little
just not
floating
flittity flat like
islands.
that.
Yeah,
Not round
it's
and
like,
round and not splittity flat.
and I be thinking because I be traveling. When you travel to other places, like getting into like that theory with the 178 domes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
When you travel on different planes like here that we are aware of, like you do feel that different pull. Like I was out in Arizona and then coming from Arizona and then coming back into like Philly, Jersey area, it was like a really big energetic shift. It did feel like I was going from like one atmosphere to the other atmosphere, and it was a lot to adjust to, not just on the physical aspect of like sleep and then getting my
Mm-hmm.
eating and my bowels back into a schedule, but also like emotionally, like I was pissed for no reason. It was just like a whole, and then the people that I went with, they were experiencing the same experience. Like, bro, I really feel like I got to recalibrate myself on so many levels right now, and we only went from one side of the country to the other. um I think about that. My mom's about to go to, dang, I keep forgetting what country she said she was going to, but she's going somewhere in Africa. And I would like to, when she gets there and stuff like that, like, how does that feel for you landing in that space? Do you feel like because in my mind, I always see like, when you think about what's going over here socially and government wise, politically and all that, and then think about what's going on over there, it just feels like parallel universes. You know what I mean? And I just would,
Very.
like, does it feel like you're going from one dome to the next dome? Like, I don't think we give our map as we know it enough credit, or it's like so underrated. You know what I mean? Like we have the magic here. We have the parallel universes here. We have the different planets already here. Like, you got one area of the earth where it's always lightning and thundering, and you got one area where you have fucking firestorms, and another area where stuff glows in the dark and everything's poisonous. Like, we don't give our planet like
I tried to tell you, bro. You thought it was a game.
the eyes of all that
One
it
area that's probably
deserves
dark
at
all
all.
the time, and one area that's light all the time. You know what I'm saying? Other than Beryl, Alaska, when it changes every 6 months or what have you. You know what I'm saying? There's other places that are like that too. They're just undiscovered. They say
Mhm.
Africa is the darkest planet on the earth, so that means like there's a lot of places like deep when you get in Africa, that you cannot go because it's just so dark there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it don't reach,
Yeah.
no sunlight probably reaches there. There's probably a whole tribe of people who live there. You know what I'm saying, that you don't even know about.
That'd be wild, cause like, how would their eyesight is probably crazy. How people
Yeah.
like adapt to stuff like that. But there is one spot on Earth that they were saying the sun never sets.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
That's the
sunlight
Moorish
24/7.
Empire.
Where is
That's
it?
the Moorish Empire, where the sun never
That's what I heard, the Moorish Empire. But no, I know what you're talking about. It's
sets.
supposed to be somewhere in Norway,
Yeah, I
like
seen
in
that.
Scandinavia. It's the sun when it sets, it actually shifts to the right or to the left, I guess,
It moving
Yeah,
and
through
but
a
it
it's still in
portal.
the
takes
sky.
It
and it
moving
goes
through
to
a
a
portal.
complete new rotation. I was going to chime in on that whole altered dimension she mentioned, going to some place in like Africa right now as we
Mhm.
speak. So I guess your podcast started at about 5 p.m. It would be 5 p.m. Central, but
We
it's
was
8 p.m.
at 8
Eastern.
Eastern.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it already was 8 o'clock. It already been 8 o'clock 3 hours ago for the central area. So right now,
Oh,
you get what I'm saying? The time has already passed. Now,
all right.
using that example is the
Mm-hmm.
reason why debating flat versus round Earth. I wouldn't say it would be redundant, but it actually opens up a portal or a door to you actually realizing what we're dealing with here. Because
Okay,
how is it possible
interesting.
for time to change in a place called I'm sorry the exact name of the place, but they call it Little Russia and Big Russia up there in Alaska. Where it's a little piece of land, is water actually during the year, but during the wintertime it becomes an ice island. And they got it so that you can't. Before you used to be able to cross it freely, but now that Alaska is a part of America, Russia made it so that you can't cross the border.
Yeah, it's only like 50 miles away from it. 50 miles away from Russia.
Yeah, 50 miles. But the kicker is the locals do it all the time. They get to a point where they know exactly where the so-called dividing line is, and they can stand on either side when the time changes. So they can be in 3 hours ahead of themselves at all times.
That's wild.
There's a city right next to us. I live in Columbus, Georgia, and then you have Phoenix City, Alabama. So we're right here neighboring each other, right? So in a certain part, like, okay, that's another little small town. I still call it Phoenix City, but it's Smith Station. Okay. So me driving from my job in Smith Station, okay, they're on Central Time. And once you get into Phoenix City, it's Eastern Time. But I noticed it's already dark on the other side where Columbus is. You know what I'm saying? Because most of this area is valleys, hills and valleys or whatever. So I can see like up high, like, okay, Columbus is dark already on that side. It's already 6:30 going to 7 o'clock. But here it's 5:30, you know what I'm saying, going to 6 o'clock or what have you. But we still have daylight. It's still like some light out here and it's bright. And it's only over the bridge that makes the difference between the time zones. So I just find that's fascinating. And that's why I believe like the sun does move through a portal. And this is why you have different time zones as well.
So yeah, with that model that you got up right now, using that model, if we were to look downward on that, what I mean by downward is if we would take the position where it says water's above the firmament, if we were standing in that position and looking downward on it, if just to use your model and what you just said, what direction would that be spinning in? Because it would have to be spinning for the sun and the moon to be in opposite places in that spot that you're saying. So what direction would you think that would be rotating in? Because with that model, the sun and the moon would have to be rotating under that dome. So that means it would have to be closer for it to only be across the bridge, for it to be dark on one side and to be light on the other.
I don't fully understand that, because if you look at the heliocentric model, it's like the sun is always moving forward and all the other planets is moving in a spiral around it. I think I got it here too. And if you look at it from that way, hold up.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about.
If you look at it from this way, how is the sun rising and setting? Like,
it doesn't at all. It just stays stationary. So that means you depending on the planets to move their position. The planet has to move its position to make light shine at certain time. That means it has to work
it's not the sun, it's the other planets.
Yeah, the other planets will have to work on command then, you know. The sun just going to be like that, moving in this direction. The other planets are going to have to adjust to however it's going to show, however the light is going to shine off of it. And it looks like, I don't know what's coming from it. Is that like the pattern or whatever, or is that light that's shining from a planet?
Yeah, it's like light. You know, it's little spermy tail going on.
Oh, okay. It's cute.
This is them visualizing a pathway that the sun would leave behind it if it was going in a direction. This is why I said we can't really use an image unless we're using our own imagery, meaning what we're seeing ourselves. Because this whoever created this imagery came up with the idea of the sun leaving a pathway behind it giving you an idea that this is a direction it's going in. When again we said there's so many dimensions that we can't pinpoint a specific direction that anything's going in. So say that it's traveling in a spiral, we can pretty much measure that. But as against to what? Like it would have to be a central point to start that from. And that model that she had up before, the central point, they call it Polaris, supposed to be the North Star or whatever. That's supposed to be the North Pole. But using this model, the heliocentric, the sun is the center of all of the galaxies. The biggest star or the biggest sun would be the center. So what would make all these other planets in conjunction with what the sun is in that heliocentric model? You can't say there would be, as we call them, planets, because of the position of Earth. It would be the only one so-called perfect for life based on that. And that's why we feel like there's no life on other planets. What if they aren't planets at all? They're just visionaries. Like they call them luminaries. I don't like that word for some reason, using that word to describe that, because everything is light. Even the darkness we see is light. So call it a luminary.
That's like rings. You know how Saturn got rings? What if we just rings to the sun?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what we perceive as rings. Somebody call it a ring. What if it's just more of us just surrounding that planet or whatever it is?
We just a ring around the sun. Like, look how small our sun is. Our sun little as shit. You see this little arrow?
Got its own suns and moons within it. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. And we're not all. I think this is just from the telescopic eye. You know what I'm saying? You peering at anything is going to look like a circle or rim around it. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, everything's round out there and it's dark. Yeah, because your telescope lens is only focused on a certain point or whatever, and everything else is dark. You got all that sun out there that's so damn bright, right? They can light up the whole freaking Earth. Well, it should be able to light up all the rest of space too, and the other stars and other shit that's out there too. Like, and it can't be that dark in space neither. It just can't be. Maybe it is. I don't know. But
they also say that the sun is not on fire. It's not necessarily exuding light. It's
more like a chemical reaction, right?
Yeah, it's energy reacting to the other chemicals in the atmosphere or in space. This is what they're saying, and it's causing illumination.
Yo, they got a recording of like how the sun sounds, like what it sounds like on the sun. They
I heard
made that shit for us in school before, yo. I was like,
I remember that.
Oh my god, it sounds like something was on fire and something's combusting constantly, yo. But how you get the sound from the sun if space has no sound? Y'all said space don't have no sound now. Now you're going back on what you're saying.
They also said space don't got gravity, but Neil Armstrong was putting footprints down on shit, and the flag was in the wind. I don't know how they got wind and no gravity.
The moon got its wind. The moon got wind.
The moon
got wind. Now that y'all mentioned there, y'all about to grind it up, right? Y'all talking about the moon landing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if Neil Armstrong, he, I when I was coming up, I'm not that much into the years, I should say, but when I was coming up, we used to make fun of him because he always used to say, one giant step for humanity, blah blah blah. What I used to always question is how, if gravity don't exist in space, if there's a vacuum and there's no gravity, how is he able to carry all that equipment he had on his body to be able to bounce around, go up and down as fast as he did? Like, what stopped him from going all the way up when he jumped up? And they said, well, he was attached to. It was a rope attached to what? What did they have him attached to?
The ship.
Yeah.
Who was recording this? Who was recording this?
Exactly.
The people on the ship was recording it.
The camera so sturdy. The camera was sturdy
recording it. The ship is recording it, yo.
Yeah, these are all the questions that people ask me when I bring this up, and I always tell them.
Not
you
only
ask these questions because it's just don't add up.
How you got your ass back to Earth? How you got back into Earth's orbit and shit off the moon? How, if it took all that, if it took 2 full tanks of fuel, just as large as their rocket, to get up, to go out into the Earth's atmosphere, into space, to get, and you had just enough fuel to get to the moon, right? How you got your ass back?
They say they never came back.
Oh, he never came back.
Yeah, a lot of people that make
That's,
it there never make it back.
yeah, this is what I was trying to get into. This is why I said is you gotta use your 5 senses. I don't ever want to give a definitive answer because somebody's senses may see something I miss. You know what I'm saying? But using my own 5 senses, I've never heard Neil Armstrong say the same things he said before he went. There's always been some kind of confusion coming out of his mouth. So that made me question if he ever came back, if that was him that came back. Because literally, after he made them 5 steps,
When was the
he
first
been
moon?
going against NASA ever since.
When was the first? When was the first moon landing? Like what year was that?
69, wasn't it?
I want to say you
69?
were.
And you had cars that could barely reach to 100 within 60 seconds, except for a few model muscle cars that we know of or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But come on, like they didn't even have.
I'm gonna find this documentary for y'all. I'm gonna find this documentary for y'all. I seen this years ago, and I probably should have saved it. But literally, they debunked this years ago. It was a documentary about the Great Space Race during the mid 60s. If y'all remember, it wasn't actually the United States that landed on the moon first.
No.
Russia, right?
If we were on the same timeline, I should say. It wasn't the United States that landed on the moon first. It was the first place to land on the moon was Russia.
Right.
They landed on the moon. They landed on the moon with a satellite called Sputnik.
Yeah,
Okay,
landed on the moon.
That was back in the 50s.
Yeah, and it was that whole 12 years or whatever it took for the United States of America to come up with the technology to catch up with them to at least send something out there. So they sent something else out there. But then it was a big lie sent across the airwaves that once again Russia landed a man on the moon. But United States of America's airways hadn't received it yet. So they came up with this cockamamie story that they was going to land on the moon before any other country in the world.
And they documented that too. It's right here on Wikipedia. It's right here on Wikipedia. It said United States Apollo 11 was the first crew mission. And so I guess you had to be an actual human to land there, though. Like they ain't counting no damn equipment.
I'm telling you what led up to them sending the man out there. That's what led to them sending the man out there.
Flag got ripples, yo. That light is on point, though. Who is lighting that shit?
Yeah, I was gonna say that again.
I got its own light, though. The moon got its own light too. Now, the moon.
That's not what they teach us in school, now.
No, it's not.
They say the light reflect off of the sun. The sunlight and the light from the sun is reflecting off of the moon.
But the sun ain't out when the moon is out, though. You know what I'm saying? At night, the sun gone somewhere else. It's on the other side of the world.
But during the daytime, the moon is out when the sun is out.
Yeah.
You ever see the moon?
You can barely see the moon, but it's not as bright as it is, though. Yeah.
Certain days you can see the sun and moon at the same time. They usually on opposite sides. But
what if I told y'all they've been hiding both of them from us for ages?
I will believe it because the way the real ones from now don't make sense.
China coming up with a new sun. China building a new sun right now.
They made a new moon too. They made their own big magnetic satellite drone. They did that.
Yep.
Where they gonna put that in the?
They gonna replace what they already got up there.
Oh, you know what? Maybe they got to change it because it's a light bulb. You know what I'm saying? They got to take that one down and put the new one up because that one's about to burn out. It's about to expire.
So I know y'all sisters y'all probably going to delve right into this one. I'm a firm believer of truth. So I dug into this before I ever decided to open my mouth about it. But can we agree that the woman's menstrual cycle is closely tied to the moon cycle?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right, so you haven't noticed in the last maybe 10, 15 years. Now I'm gonna be 100% precise. I'm saying the last 11 years, since 2012. You haven't noticed that they just don't add up no more? There's
My
some women whose cycles are going every 3 weeks instead of every 4 weeks. You got some women who don't have cycles for 3 months at a time. It's just like it's hard to regulate.
So they on the birth controls and stuff. Too.
Everything is tied together. Everything is tied together.
It's all different kind of ailments.
Yes, everything is
tied together. You're not going to be in alignment with the moon. Like all them hormones they making everybody take, like the birth control hormones, the food and beverage hormones. But when you're not in alignment, it affects the magnet too. You know, if the magnet is
as a boss.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna
y'all messing up nature. What they say, we messing up nature.
There was a good 3 months to where my cycle was coming on the day of the, where the moon cycle is starting, and then it'll end with the full moon, you know what I'm saying? Or it'll start with the full moon, the mothering cycle, what they'll say, and then it'll end once it goes back to, to the crescent stage.
Right.
Yeah. Once I got my life together, I stopped taking hormones and stuff. I'm with the new moon. Me and the new moon are best friends. But I think that's on a grand scale, the way they be talking about the pH level of these women, I totally understand what you're talking about.
I mean, some of these people don't drink water though, so they
people not even giving the moon like the recognition, because like everything is on the solar calendar. Like granted, our energy, our solar plexus chakra, all those different things, the sun power. At the same token, it's like a yin and yang. They're supposed to complement each other. You gotta have a certain level of recognition of both.
Yeah. You gotta be able to feel that too when something's off balance.
The sun model doesn't make sense. If the sun is so big, like that was another thing we're talking about, the size of the sun. Is the sun really as big as they're saying it is? Because the only way, whether it's the round model, the flat model, the whatever model, the only way those make sense is if you take the size of the sun down a couple notches. You guys are giving the sun entirely too much credit. It cannot be that big if the sky is being halfway illuminated. Then sometimes the sun will be so bright it'll blot out the moon, then sometimes it's not. Then you got the way the other terrors, the celestial bodies show up in space, they'll be brighter than the sun. Looking at these, like Betelgeuse and Aries, those are major stars that the moon align with a lot. Those don't blot out the moon. Like little
they said
things
Betelgeuse
like
exploded already. They said Betelgeuse exploded. We just still getting the light from it because of the
Yeah,
travel
we still
of light.
because it happened about 20 years ago or something.
Millions of years ago, I think.
Light years ago. And we just received a message.
I was like, wow, we still seeing that shit?
Yeah, it's still a star.
So look, with that being said, with these stars, just we see them all the time. I was telling the teacher this years ago, and she tried to kick me out my class. Like I had a lot of that going on through school. I still getting kicked out of class because I just refused to just accept BS. But I tried to explain to her that every star we see in the sky is a sun. And she, oh, what do you mean? No, I said, so what is the purpose of any other star besides our sun, if that's not what they are?
Right.
And she tried to say, well, it doesn't say anything about that in the textbook. What made you come up with that? And I said, common sense. And that's when, the whole teacher thing got involved.
And but now they're saying that
never gave that lunch. Like, can you imagine how many so-called planets is around those stars we see every day? Yeah, and I see a lot of them. Now, if we were to think that if there is multiple dimensions, you wouldn't think that they wouldn't be there. Like, that's not where our mind's capability is to travel there and be in those dimensions at any given moment. We could possibly do that. And
talk about that sunshine. That's a superpower you wanted.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why she made the statement. Those stars like Betelgeuse and Antares, they're so big. Why can't they illuminate the sky? Is because they are. We just not conscious of the sky is illuminating. You know what I'm saying? We're not conscious at that moment of it being illuminated at all. We just got to plug into that consciousness, and we're able to do that.
We was
It's
talking about this last episode. Well, no, we was talking about this when we was doing our notes because I was like, ever since, like, the more I expand with the planetary forecast, the
The
more
more
stars
shit
I
you
see when
see.
I go
Hmm.
outside. Like, they're coming to me because I'm recognizing them.
Yeah, I see like a good 20, like I said. And with my glasses on, I can see probably about 40.
You ever look at Orion's belt?
That's
Real
the
like
Mhm.
one
at,
I can
at
mostly
real
see.
real late at night. I'm gonna give y'all a little tip because I did this a couple of times just to check it. But if you look at Orion's belt at I can say about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, and then you look away from it and then look at it a little harder, you can see about maybe 100 more stars right behind the third star.
Mm.
And when
With
I
my
say
glasses on.
hundreds,
Hmm.
listen, I got bad eyes and I ain't need the glasses. I'm
I
keeping the
do. I ain't
beam.
gonna hold you.
I see,
But yeah, I get what you're saying
I
though, because I was
legit.
like, yeah, I can see, other probably a little speck, you know what I'm saying? There's something very bright there too. I don't even know what it is, but I thought at first it was a satellite, but I was like, satellite's supposed to be moving, right? They just can't just
Mhm.
stand like idle in the
Probably
sky like
Sirius.
that,
Sirius be over
Satellites
there.
ain't real.
And Azrum. Mizrum. Mizrum is Sirius.
right? Okay.
Yeah, I was
Because it's
gonna
very
say that.
bright. And that's the closest one near Orion, right?
Hmm. Those
Yeah.
are Orion's dogs.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think satellites are out there that far. I think they
Nah,
might
the
get
one satellite
satellites.
we got, the ISS joint, I be tracking
Yeah,
that joint. It don't be far. It's not far at all. We be
We
able
used
to
to
see
see them
that in the
quite
regular
often.
constellations. Yeah, we could see that like almost on a daily basis.
I used to see them going across the sky at night with a little red dot, you know what I'm saying, indicate, like this is a satellite, you know what I'm saying? But I don't see them no more.
Mm-hmm. They be out there. Don't be doing nothing.
it's a couple of them, but they try to make it seem like it's thousands of them. It's not that many satellites out. They just been using the
Yeah.
same satellites for the same signals.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So here's some mind-blowing things, right? So upon us doing our constellation episode, our last episode of last season, right? There was an excerpt in something we were reading that said something about the Africans. I forgot where, somewhere in South Africa, they said that they believe that the sky is a rock with holes in it and lights is shining through it, which makes it appear to be like stars. Now, it kind of reminds me of that picture right there of the firmament that we was just looking at or whatever. I'm like, you know what? That does make sense. And that, that does kind of make sense too. Now, I don't know where they said the position of the sun was or what have you, you know what I'm saying? But maybe it's from other light sources outside of the earth, you know what I'm saying? Other than the sun within the earth. I'm thinking that they're saying the sun was within the earth.
There's this television show called it's gonna come to me at a random moment. But me and my son was watching it. What had happened was it was sinkholes happening out in Cali, and when they was going through the sinkholes, they realized that they was in a whole new time zone. Like they were in a whole new earth. It was a time
Mm-hmm.
zone, like the dinosaurs down there. And because the sinkhole, opened up, it opened up for, some of the flying like pterodactyls and some of the viruses to come out of the sinkhole. So all that to say, like that whole
Mm-mm.
thing about us being under another layer of earth, I could foresee that because we got sinkholes coming out now, and then there's all these
Mm-hmm.
underground towns and villages,
Right.
and then you can also go to an underground cave. You can swim underground and get to an air pocket and swim even more underground. You know what I'm saying? So like
Yeah,
I don't think like layers upon layers of earth is far-fetched. I don't think that's a far-fetched concept.
I mean, you got layers and layers of under. So as above is below, right? So you got layers, and then they just talking about like invisible layers, like the stratosphere and all that other shit or whatever, right?
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
mean, you can
so
have
check
rock
this out,
layers
right?
too.
They got another model similar to this one. Speaking on that, they show it. It's like I guess a piece of Central Park or something like that. But they show the cross section of a piece of Central Park, and like it shows different little tunnels that dig from the bottom of the subway area. It's like under the gravel and all that. It's like different little tunnels that lead from under the city streets into this open space that looks similar to Sheol. And then it's like a pathway that leads from Sheol that goes in like a circle, or should I say like a curve, downward into another layer of the earth that's full of, like, I want to say dunes, like sand dunes. And inside each one of those sand, listen, inside those sand dunes are wide open gaps, like I want to say aqueducts types. And it has people in it. People. Human beings. Every time you think somebody disappearing, this is where they're going. Because we know
that Trey was talking about that last night, sis.
Okay.
there's people that escape and they find their way back to the surface, and we call them crazy and put them in insane asylums. That's because they're coming back and exposing what the government already knows, that there's opening pockets under the ground. There is no escape from where we're at, pretty much. This is stationary. And they keep trying. This is why you hear, like I'll say the Sunshine Moni ill when you at the temple, and this is why you keep hearing that Allah didn't create heaven or hell. It's not a place or a place of meets or bounds. It's a state of mind. That's because we've created these places in I guess you'll say in mimicry of what was already created in the mind. And we tried to manifest them by creating them. So we'll tell you what purgatory is. We'll tell you what hell is. We'll even tell you what heaven look like. That's because we create them ourselves. But that's why it says that, because we have the power to create those. And this is what man did.
What you were saying about them blowing up? Just remember we were watching that excerpt when we was doing our mermaid episode, right?
Oh,
and the guy was talking about them blowing up the tunnels underwater or whatever, because the mermaids travel through those tunnels or whatever. Maybe that's who's living up under there and giving us the messages.
You know what? You make a
They've
good
been trying to get us to come down there too, because they know what they're doing to us up here. But we're not ready to go.
Talking about they drown us and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? To make it fearful of them when they're really the messengers. Okay. Bet you I see a mermaid. I promise you I'm going to listen.
Right? There you go. They're tracking one because talking about it.
Probably the only enemy we have is self. Everybody else trying to get away from their own selves.
That's facts, though. Huh. And you know, a lot of that stuff is coming because you got these big sinkholes happening over in what is that, West Africa? A lot of those sinkholes is coming, and then you got all the mudslides happening out on the West Coast over here. You know, that's, you know, washing away some earth, you know, making way for, like, you know, new earth to come through. So a lot of stuff is getting washed up. A lot of stuff coming out. I'm here for it, though. I ain't scared.
You know what?
I feel bad for the people that's losing their stuff and losing their loved ones, but I also don't feel bad because, like, it's fucking 2023. Like, I'm not about to sit here and keep playing empathizing game with people that still acting like they're bigger than nature. Like, you really think your paycheck is bigger than nature, bro? Like, you want to stay here because this is where your house is and this is where your job is, and you still got to go to school tomorrow? Like, bro, your ego is so in the way right now. You have no idea. Like, go ahead
why you keep
and
rebuilding on that land that you know is going to, you know, it's going to do what it's going to do every time, every season.
Exactly, but then, we did this already. Remember the episode we did with the history of the maps? So initially, the history of the maps, we didn't have borders. We didn't do the border thing. It was like this was, you knew that this tribe usually lived in this area, and during the flood season or during the fire season or during tornado or hurricane season, whatever season it was that happened on that land, they would move to this land over here, and they'll be back when it's over. And we still have the power to do that. They try to make it seem like there's just so many humans and you can't go nowhere. No, there's not. You could fit the whole world population in Texas and everybody have an acre of land and be fine. Like, you don't, they try to make it sound like, but like we're not everywhere. We're not everywhere. There's
You
no
have
way
not
we're
discovered
everywhere.
every
We haven't
parts
even
of
discovered
land.
everything.
Like, come on now. Like, come on. You haven't even, if you haven't discovered every creature yet, and if you haven't been to every depth of the ocean, you definitely haven't been to far, far, far out land. You know what I'm saying? The four corners of the earth, which they still say now is Africa, Asia, Europe, and what? Is
South
it Antarctica? South America?
Hey, I want to.
Whatever. I don't
Can I touch on something too? Just
Huh?
real quick, just because she said that, I want to touch on something too. This map you got up right here is pointing out at me.
the
Okay,
directions of travel.
Europe and Asia is one continent. I want to get that out the way. That's
Uranus,
one
right?
continent.
Yeah.
It
Right.
always been one continent, right? But we're not even
Mhm.
going to call it a continent. You know why? Because they give us definitions, like she said, borders for everything now.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even considered a continent where it's at. It's considered a peninsula.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Go
But
home,
then
yeah.
if you want to be technical, there's really no separation between, Siberia and Alaska. The Bering Strait is just a piece of land that freezes during the winter.
They
Becomes a
just
piece of land.
didn't. They just didn't wrap this map around. You know what I'm saying? They didn't do this to it to make it connect.
That's what I was about to get
They just
into.
rolled it out
This is
flat.
what I was about to get into. That's exactly what I was about to get into. So because that map, when you heard Amelia Earhart went around the world in 80 days and she came back to the same point she was in, right? Before she ran out of gas. It makes sense to why if you go left and right or east and west, you end up in the same point. But if you look at the flight patterns, you never see them go north and south. You know why? Because there's only north. Any direction away from north, which is the center point of the map, would be south. So any direction away from the center point or the North Pole is south. That's why you only see on the flight pattern, they go left or right or they go on angles. They never go up and down. Because you can't go up. If you go directly up, you're gonna hit the firmament.
Right, exactly.
Oh,
That-
wow, yeah.
And they
Okay.
and
that's based off of her wrapping that piece of paper together.
And you know what? And their radar, right, which is circular, you know what I'm saying? You're only going to travel in a full circle. So if I leave from what is that? The tip of Alaska over here to, we know where Alaska at, over there on the left in the top corner. And I just travel in a circular motion. You can still travel in a circular motion. It's going to be more like a ellipsoid, right? Compared to this map because it's, rectangular. That's the direction of travel, you know what I'm saying, which they take flights or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So this is correct, like how they do their traveling and shit. That's the only way they can travel. Or you could travel around the whole world like that if you can, or all these continents like that too. So you're going to travel in a circle, but you can't go beyond that. You can't go beyond those lands because you're limited as well. So there's a few areas they ain't discovered yet, you know what I'm saying? Not all this is just of the whole earth that's laid out. There's some more shit.
They're trying to say Australia don't exist.
Australia don't exist. Okay.
Yeah, it never existed. That the land that the people call Australia now was always a part of South Asia. But it was a piece of island that detached from it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
land-
Because
and
look at
they
the
say-
people. The people look alike.
Yeah, and the people in Antarctica, the people that's in Antarctica, well, the people that they say that are from the so-called non-discovered Australia are actually in Antarctica because they say Antarctica is the bottom of the map. They're saying that's the people that's there are there. We can't reach them. That's why it hasn't been discovered yet.
If Antarctica is at the bottom of the fucking map and if the world is fucking round, right? That means that Antarctica has to surround the fucking earth. All right.
Yeah.
On a
We're a
fucking globe.
comet. We're not even a planet. We're a comet then.
It is. We're on something that's moving through something, but it's not. We're stationary. We're not going nowhere.
We on a
That's
spaceship.
funny.
We on the mothership. You heard about Bootsy Collins and all them saying about that.
I
shit.
didn't want to say it like that, but that's pretty much what it is. A
We on the
spaceship.
whole fucking mothership. We on a spaceship. And you know what? When I watch them anime movies and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? Them spaceships, they got everything on it.
Yeah, like what's the face? You remember Xenon, Girl of the 21st Century? They had a sun and a moon on their spaceship. They had daylight. They had outside on their spaceship.
Ain't nobody just imagine that. That's information that
They
they
were trying
received
to
from somebody.
they were trying to make it like a aesthetic to make it seem like okay, humans can accept that when actuality that's just what it is.
Oh, what if we're on Whitney Fish Tim's arc?
We
We've
are
been
on
on the
Ava
arc
Tim's
all
arc.
along.
We've been on the spaceship the whole time, sis.
Yes.
That's
We still on
So when
Tuna Fish
CERN
Tim ship.
That's
when
wild.
CERN did that particle separator, the particle collider or whatever, when they first opened it up, I know y'all knew this. They first opened it up back in 79. 1979 was the first time they turned it on. They didn't know what they did because they didn't see anything change. But that's when the timeline started shifting, right? Remember when the movie Back to the Future came out? Watch that movie again, the first one. The very first one. Watch it again. This is gonna bring you back to this conversation.
Yeah, I gotta check that joint out. It's been a while since I watched it. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah, so what
I'm
happened?
gonna watch
He said in that movie, if you change anything in the past, it'll change things
I
in
ain't
the
gonna hold
future.
you.
But it'll not only change things in the future, but things in the past may change too. So people that exist
Right.
now may never exist. Just based off of
that's what
one
he said.
little
People
change.
who exist now may never exist. I remember that. Yep. That's what he
Yeah,
said.
so keeping
what he said.
that in mind, when CERN did that, eventually they discovered that they could go back in time. So they did it. And they changed what they did to make the mistake of running into it. And now they know what it is, they embedded it in their heads. So when they came back to it in I guess you'll say real time, they didn't have to stumble upon it. They already had it embedded in their heads. Long story short, they made another mistake by changing that in the past. By doing that, it changed the timeline again, so things changed again, and it became a broken record. Just doing it over and over and over and over, trying to redo it. They make movies about it all the time.
Ancient Sumer cuneiform text and stuff. Soon, maybe they time travel because they travel from Nibiru all the way to here, look for gold and shit. So the Anunnakis, the people in the Bible, all these different timelines, and they all are parallel dimensions, right? And they've changed so many different times because they're trying to get back to the past. We're trying to go back to the damn future, which was in the past. The future's in the past. We're traveling in the wrong direction on the ship. We got to go backwards, which is really forward.
So we need to go in retrograde.
Yes, that's why our planet's going retrograde, sis.
It's supposed to be in retrograde.
Come on now.
That's why we feel so bad when things are in retrograde. That's why
because
we feel the way
going in the right direction of travel. We trying to move forward. We need to be going back.
Moving against it.
We're supposed to be going out
retrograde when we should be moving along with the retrograde.
What is ain't and what ain't is. It's like, don't fight it, sweetheart. Don't fight it.
Don't fight it. Don't fight it. That's why, I was talking about that all winter because winter, like they say, the clocks fall back. Fall back to me is retrograde. Earth has been in retrograde since the clocks flew back. And when they go back forward,
there in our faces.
That's when we out of the retrograde.
Yo, my mind is blown right now. Whole time we setting our clocks back and shit. We supposed to be moving back anyways. But we fighting against time so damn much.
I'll be back in the sky.
I'm done with the Earth. I mean, I'm done with these people on Earth. I'm moving. Fuck this.
I just want to go outside and live my life.
So can I expose something to y'all real quick, just to see how this playing? Because we can't really blame them for what they did. To get us to the point where we be confused or we're not in line and tuning or we can't blame them because can you imagine if all of our people were in tune the way we supposed to be, things wouldn't be the way they are now. There wouldn't be nobody getting over. Wouldn't be a group of people being treated like trash all the time. Wouldn't be none of that. So you can't blame them for it, but you can blame yourself for not doing what you need to do now that you know how to get back in tune with it.
Moving forward, going back. Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah.
We all the time we've been trying to get away from it when we actually got to face it. We got to do something about it. Fix it. They said we ain't supposed to stare in the sun when we're gazing. But why not? The sun might supposed to burn our eyes because we ain't supposed to see it the way we see it. I don't know. I could be blind.
They say we'll go blind, but people sun gaze all the time. I'm damn blind. Shit. Without scaring
I feel better when I stare into the sun. Like, granted, I be seeing that little circle for a minute, but like my eyes always feel better.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah,
you probably
I wouldn't do it for a long period of time.
There's people who do it for like about 8 minutes. I'm like, wow.
Nah, I'll stare into some fire. Like, I love fire meditation. I'll definitely stare into a flame for that period of time.
Yeah, that's bright enough for me. But every time I tried to sun gaze, I was never successful. Like, I couldn't hold it for longer than like 15 seconds. You know what I'm saying? About me. Maybe it's my subconsciousness being like, girl, you gonna go blind. Stop. I'm like, okay. Then I gotta blink my eyes a few times. I see 1,000 suns and shit. After I do it. Why is it that you see 1,000 suns like that after you sun gaze? When you be blinking? I don't know. But anywho.
I know what you're talking about. I don't know.
Yeah.
You got 1,000, your eyes blinking at 1,000 frames a second, whether you know it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
It's blinking at I'm throwing a number out there, but it's blinking faster than you think. So that's why you see all them dots. They caught it before you did.
Maybe that's why you're supposed to. Like, we got it already. Okay. That's all you need.
Yeah, it's all in your brain. You already looked at it. Stop. Look at something else.
That's wow, though. It's so much awareness that we're bringing today, though.
Yeah, think about that. Think about that. How fast our movements are. It says that we're just products of the ether plane. We're just the substance of the ether plane moving slower and slower. That's why we can see each other. But if we was moving as fast as we supposed to be seeing, we wouldn't see each other.
Like number of colors, right? There's a flash.
Yeah,
like
just
how
a
you
flash.
get somebody on camera like off guard. You see like the still kind of frame but blurred and shit.
Right, because we're always moving.
So that's where the concept of the camera came from. The way the eye operates. It catches so many frames at a time, and it picks the perfect frame, and that's what it displays. But now we got technology. It can take 1 million frames, you wouldn't even know it. And because all of them is perfect, they put them all into one. You're like, oh, that's how you look. No, that's not how you look now. That's how you looked at that second.
When I can take pictures, I ain't gonna hold you. I be like, my face changed all the time. I be like, damn. Let me take this over. Damn. Let me take that over. I don't know.
I'll be the same way.
I can never get a perfect picture. Like, and my face is so animated, you know what I'm saying? Like, you cannot just like capture what people would think is perfection. You know what I'm saying? That's why they have editing and shit like that. Editing labs. Or editing apps. They don't have to do it in a lab anymore. My bad. They can do it on their phone.
Oh, let's talk about that too. So, where do you keep your phone at when you're using it?
When I'm not using it?
No, I'm saying when you are using it, like as it's being used for the apps, or you on your phone. Where do you keep
my hand? I usually keep my phone on speakerphone. I don't like that whole phone to my ear type situation. I don't do that. I know I be getting on people's nerves around me because I don't do Bluetooth headphones either. Like, my phone is on speaker.
Yeah, people got to be like, Danielle, you're on speaker. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't be having I don't have no filter. But 9 times out of 10,
people around me need to mind their business. That's all I do.
Yeah, like if it's a real interpersonal conversation that I know that, what I'm saying, like when me and sis talk, like I know like ain't nobody else is supposed to be here, and I'll take it off a speaker, you know what I'm saying, or move somewhere else to another room or whatever. But I never really hold my headset up to my head. And where I lay it at, I put it like a weight far further away from me as I can, because I don't believe in sleeping with my phone near my head and stuff like that, or any electronics. I don't like that.
I look
Yeah, I
forward
was
to
gonna
getting to a
say,
space where I could start chilling and turning stuff off because I don't like
Yeah,
having it on at all. But I'm not there
well,
yet.
yeah,
I was
Like,
pointing that out. I was pointing that out because everything that's electronic emits some kind of signal.
you can
yeah,
hear it.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
it's
can hear
When I
it
always
for
when I
moving.
real.
started going camping, and I was around nothing, and then to come back home and I can hear the Wi-Fi. I hate the way the refrigerator sounds. The refrigerator is so fucking loud, but I can hear everything.
You notice.
I
Yeah, yeah. If
I
I plug
love.
my phone on right now, I can hear it charge. Like,
I can hear all that shit. Like my brother when he opens up his door, he got the PS5 in there. That shit is
mm-hmm,
loud. It's very loud. But it's
mm-hmm,
not, to regular ears. Like you can't hear that. It's like a whole different ozone when his door is open.
mm-hmm. Yeah, all of them commit. I mean, all of them commit. All of them emit like some, current and shit.
Yeah.
Still,
Exactly. And
and when you hold it,
you said
when you hold it in your hand, especially in your left hand, you can feel all that shit. And then, especially when you have it charging up, I hate to hold it when it's charging because I can feel all that fucking, all that.
All that.
What do they call? What do they call that? The discharge from, I can feel all the discharge from,
Mhm.
the electricity. You know what I'm saying, on my hand. It makes it feel funny, so I gotta put it down. Even if I hold it in my hand too long, you know what I'm saying, without it being charged, I can still feel all that shit.
Mhm.
And now we're trained to just keep our phones on us.
Yeah, like you can't have your phone off you for 1 second. You need it to record things if something happened, and you need it for legal reasons. You got to be reachable by your kids, the kids'
And
school,
yeah,
job, the city alerts. If you're a business
yeah,
owner, they're
your
turning everybody to
bills.
creators. Yeah, your bills, important phone calls, like your map. They made it so like you cannot put your phone down. Like you have to be stuck on it. Eventually, they're going to market it as
Require,
something that's
yeah.
convenient, but it's going to be something they put inside your body. Like, oh, instead of carrying the phone, now you are the phone.
Or make it by law, yeah. Saying that you gotta have a phone attached to you all the time. And
Yeah,
without
they'll
a
make it a
law or
security
mandation,
issue.
people already do. People already just
Yeah.
automatically holding on to their phone. I was watching this movie last night. I forgot what the movie was called or whatever, but it was stupid. Like it was like a disaster about to happen or whatever. And she was like, I
Mhm.
gotta go get my phone. Like, bruh, leave that phone. Just go.
Right.
I would grab my kids, my car, my dogs, my husband, and just leave. Damn the phones. The phone will be the last. The phone will be the last thing I want to do in a disaster.
I think
I
it's
can't wait for a disaster to them happen so I can disappear off the map. To me, that's the
For
first.
real.
That's the first form of freedom is when you can free yourself away from these devices. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I love putting my phone down in a way, and it's
Mm-hmm.
people get mad at me about that because I be unreachable. More so, my mom, and I get it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's funny that's been our tug of war since I was little. When I got my
Mm-hmm.
first phone when I was 13, and it was like, why am I calling your phone? You're not answering. And I'm sure in her mind she's thinking of the worst case scenario. Like,
Oh
that's
yeah.
always been my thing with my mom, her not
Oh
being
yeah.
able to read. Because I
Yeah.
just always wanted to be free. Like I don't being reachable is cool. Like, let's get some walkie talkies or something. I don't fucking know,
Yeah.
but like, I just don't. It's so much on a phone now. And I remember
Yeah.
having people in my life that would be reaching out to me on like 5 different platforms at one time, sending
And
different messages on each platform. And, I got my cousin, the thing with the Facebook and the Instagram is cool, but it makes people feel like they can reach me any time of the day and night. Like, bro, there's a such thing as business hours. Don't text me at 10, 12 o'clock at night about some business related shit. I
right.
don't know. What?
I think that's
I feel like
kind of
social media.
that's a door they're trying
Huh?
to open, just using that
Yeah,
as the
social media
entry.
has muddied a lot of
Mm-hmm.
relationship boundaries that I don't
Mm-hmm.
appreciate. It makes everybody
Mm-hmm.
feel like they're a friend and you're not a friend. Like this is a business thing, or you're a client, or you're a customer, or this is just a business association, or this is
Mm-hmm.
just that. But it's blurred lines there now, where people just feel like they can text and video chat you and do all these things all times of the day and night, and do it like without any type of like currency exchange because you're accessible. I just don't
You know
like to be
what's
that accessible.
I don't want to be that accessible neither, sis. And I get plenty of people like who knows that I have a business and they love to reach out to me on my messenger or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like I have a business phone number for a reason, and it's clearly posted. But people like to reach out on Messenger, my personal messenger at that, what I'm saying, ask about my products and stuff like that. Like, please contact me on my website. It has a little chat box that pops up that everybody ignores as soon as you get on there. And it's an automated message, but I promise you, as soon as you send me a message on there, I'm going to be responding to you. You don't have to reach me, go through hell and high water on Facebook, you know what I'm saying? And then, what you're going to ask me about is going to lead to the website anyways. You're going to have to go on there and look, but everybody want me to bring the link over from the website into the Facebook. Like Facebook is the main, it's the resource for everything. You know what I'm saying? Like you cannot do without the Facebook and the Messenger or the Instagram. Sometimes I'm not even aware of what hits my IG messages. And sometimes I feel bad because you be sending me shit and I'll be like, oh damn, this is 2 months later and I'm just now getting to it. Because I try to limit myself on so many platforms, I like to just stick it with like one, but I'm glad they merged kind of like with everything within one or whatever. But they still set it up kind of stupidly. But it's whatever. Can you please give me some food and some water?
I ain't gonna hold you. This might not be an episode as long as the other ones because I am tired. But this was
a very great episode though. I enjoyed, and I'm so happy that we had a guest come on. We don't know what happened to him. Maybe it's device died, but this was an eye opener for all of us. And I tapped into a lot of things, and connected a lot of dots with stuff. Even though it seemed like it might have not been on topic, but it was.
I think
that's how we do here on Virgo Virgin Talk anyway.
Exactly. And I think the conclusion for me is the earth is not round or flat. We're actually still on Utnapishtim's ark. And when he put all the animals, so he got 2 of each animal on the ark. They had to have habitats to live on the ark. And we already explained that the ark wasn't a boat ark. It was actually a spaceship ark. And so the ark was actually a portal, because what is an ark? An ark is a doorway. They had him build a doorway, and we on the spaceship with all the animals. We still with Utnapishtim, and I think that's where I'm at with it. We're not on Earth.
Because he's living at the Beyond or something, or him and his wife are living at the Beyond or something like that. So he's probably like captaining the ship still.
We on the ship, y'all.
Hey, the Parliament been talking about the mothership and everything.
Right, that's why we be using all these water words and everything's a shit and maritime laws, because we on the ship. We on Utnapishtim's ship.
And we're traveling back. We're traveling back.
That's what I thought.
Today's episode.
That's the conclusion of today's episode. It was fun. I enjoyed myself. The next episode is the celestial maps. So if anybody's interested in coming on the show and talking with us about not just the map of the earth or the globe of the earth or whatever, what have you, but what do the whole thing look like? Does it look like this heliocentric model here, or the 178 dome somewhere else? What does it look like?
Celestial maps. I definitely got to do my research on that, because this is something new. All of this is new. Everything is around Earth. But it's always new information that is discovered whenever we do our research. But we thank everybody for tuning in. We thankful for our guests. Thankful for you, Sunshine, and pushing through this episode. You know what I'm saying? Because I know you're tired. I had just woke up. You can
I've been fighting my sleep.
But we did an awesome job.
Yes.
And today's episode was brought to you by Let's Nobody's Collection. Don't forget to nominate your healers.
Gang, gang, and Body and Yoni Essentials. Oh, aren't you a nominated Cosmic Nobody? I love it here.
I sure am. And I also hold an award from a year or so ago.
Hey.
So I'm coming back.
As you should. All right, y'all. This was a real one. Peace, peace, y'all.
Peace. We out. Taking off to